everyone, and welcome to the NPC Dungeon. Today, I'm going to be talking all about playing your character. Becoming your character and really getting into their mindset is one of the most fun parts about playing D&D and tabletop games in general. It can be really fun to just put yourself in someone else's shoes and play out events and things in a fantasy setting or a sci-fi setting or whatever, and do things that you can't normally do in real life. But this can be difficult, especially if you're either new to these types of games or just don't know where to start. So in this video, I have 6 tips to help you really zero in on opportunities to roleplay as your character and tune into their personality and who they are. So let's get started and let's learn something. The first thing that I want to say about playing your character is probably pretty obvious, so I'll try not to spend too much time on it, but it's important to keep in the back of your mind, and it's pretty general, so a lot of the other points that I'm going to mention kind of build off of this one a little bit. And it's know your character's backstory and personality, more specifically how this shaped them into who they are, and how it will affect how they behave and how they interact with the encounters placed before them. And just like I often say when talking about creating a backstory, you don't have to go all out. Just look at what they've been through and ask yourself how it impacted them. Has your character seen a lot of betrayal? Maybe they're slow to trust other people, so when they meet a new NPC, they might be a little more suspicious than the others. Maybe they are obsessed with knowledge and learning. They might be excited to go on adventures that take them to faraway places, and might linger a little bit too long when faced with a terrifying or perhaps fascinating new monster. And lastly, this doesn't stop at the beginning. Think about what has happened throughout the campaign and how that would affect your character as well, but more on that later. Next up is flaws, and the reason why I mention flaws specifically is twofold. The first is that thinking about flaws can feel unnatural. When playing games, we are often supposed to look for the best solution or the correct answer, but the fact of the matter is that people just aren't like that. We have flaws that affect how we interact with the world, and our characters should be no different. Now, when I say flaw, I'm not saying you should play a character who tries to steal from the other players, attacks every NPC you come in contact with, and sabotage the party's plans. Don't play characters that would do those things. You are ultimately the one in control of who your character is. You can find a way to have your character be themselves and still interact with the story. When I say flaw, I'm referring to little things that affect gameplay without stopping everything in its tracks. For example, maybe your character has really bad manners and has to really work to compose themselves when the party goes to a fancy dinner or a meeting somewhere. The second reason why I'm mentioning flaws is because characters are dynamic individuals who change and grow over time. You may also want to keep in mind how your character might learn to deal with or even overcome certain flaws. Look for opportunities to exercise and showcase this. For example, my current character is a detective who started out preferring to work alone. There was a scene where certain elements of his backstory came back to haunt him and he just wanted to be alone. Well, the other players ended up engaging in a celebration and playing music not too far away. I had my character try to sneak up in a cloak without anybody noticing. And later on, when the party developed a plan to rescue someone that required them to split up and required him to go off alone and he failed, I had him lean more into cooperation and start speaking more often with the other characters and looking for opportunities to cooperate. People often say, myself included, that it's important to get into your character's head, and that's true, but directing your character's behavior also requires you to guide them a little bit as well, so that they can grow and so that they can be themselves while pushing the story forward at the same time. Now, while I'm on the topic of character flaws, it only seems fitting to talk about character strengths. In short, look for opportunities to do what your character is good at. Is your character really stealthy? Try to keep your eye out for opportunities to sneak around. Are they very charismatic? Look for chances to persuade NPCs and negotiate. Try to play to your character's strengths. This helps you start really thinking like your character. Any encounter is going to have many possible solutions. Try to focus on ones that your character would realistically think of and do. Going back to the stealthy and charismatic characters mentioned just a moment ago, let's say that the party has to infiltrate a building of some kind. If your character is very stealthy, you may look for routes to use to sneak in, while if you're playing a very charismatic character, you may look for guards so that you can persuade them to let you pass. You may start thinking about ways of disguising to get in, or you may try to lawyer your way in somehow. Same problem, two very different solutions. And this next point goes right back to my very first point about keeping your character's backstory and personality in mind, and it is think about what your character wants. What do they hope to achieve from a given encounter? Why did they start adventuring in the first place? And on an even deeper level, what is their highest goal in life? What are their dreams and wants on a more fundamental level? I talk about this more in depth in my video on making character backstory, so I'll put a card to that video above and a link down below if you want. But for example, if your character wants riches and fame, they may jump at an opportunity to perform in a local theater. I often say give your players goals as a DM when presenting them with a certain encounter. This really isn't much different. You're just doing that as a player. In a way, you're giving yourself something to keep in the back of your head while playing the game. And in the same way, think about what your character needs. This goes back to what I said earlier about character growth. Does your character need to learn how to cooperate with other people, let go of their attachment to money and fame, or cut ties with the criminal syndicate they owe a lot of money to? Look for opportunities to implement this character growth and guide your character through the story. And bonus points if the want you give your character is in some way opposed to the need. They may want wealth and fame, but also need to realize and overcome their reliance on material things and attention. And how they navigate this is up to you and how you choose to allow your character to grow. Another thing to keep in mind is how your character will react when things change, when plans fail, and when their needs and wants change. If a quest to steal a certain item falls through, ask yourself, how will your character react? Will they be very calm and try to calculate another scheme? Will they start throwing chairs and punching walls? This also boils right down to personality. And like I've been saying this whole video, look for opportunities to showcase your character's strengths, weaknesses, flaws, personality, etc. Situations and encounters will not just jump out at you. Like I said in my video on keeping the story going as a player, by the way, I'll leave a link and a card to that one if you like. If you and the other players are just discussing or walking, talk to them about things that have been going on, interact with them, and just in general, look for solutions to problems to suit your character, like I said earlier. And that's it. I really hope that you enjoyed the video, and thanks so much for watching. Come back next Friday, we'll be talking about quest hooks. I made a video about it a while back, but it's about time I updated it. I have a lot more to say about that topic now, and the video is a little older, so my style has changed a lot since then. Anyway, feel free to check out two of my previous videos. They'll be appearing on your screen right about now. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, let's learn something.